You're not part of this, buddy. Okay. On this episode of Main Street Magic, we talk the Spirit of Aloha Luau at the Polynesian, the Star Wars Galactic dessert party at Hollywood Studios, and our first ever Run Disney event at the Star Wars Dark Side 5K. This is episode 68 of the Main Street Magic podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and today I am joined again by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hi, guys.
If you haven't had a chance to listen to episode 67, go back and check it out. John and I review Caribbean Beach Resort and Saratoga Springs pretty in-depth. Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at mainstmagic. Now, don't forget to listen to the Capture the Magic podcast at ctmpodcast.com and subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to Capture the Magic. Now, they release new shows every Monday and Thursday, and then Jared and I release a new Diz Dudes episode every Wednesday on that very same feed. We've also created a new Facebook group called Capture the Magic Community, so make sure you go to Facebook and ask to join. We wanted to go over in this episode, and this is why I have Rhonda on today, our add-on experiences that we had during our anniversary trip. So we did the luau over at the Polynesian. We did the Galactic dessert party over at Hollywood Studios, and we did our first 5K Run Disney event on property. We had done
Epcot.
Through Epcot. So we had done the virtual running shorts. And we signed up for the ones this year as well, which are all virtual runs where you sign up and you submit a time on your own, do it at your leisure at home or wherever, and then you still get your medal and everything with that. But this will be our first one that we actually did at Disney, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that in a bit. So I'm going to go slightly out of order on how we did these add-ons, only because the first one we're going to discuss, I think we were not very favorable of, and I didn't want to end the show on what could potentially be a negative review. I'd rather leave the positive stuff more towards the end. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Galactic Spectacular Dessert Party at Hollywood Studios. This is $79 for adults, and it's $45 for kids. This includes all-you-can-eat desserts. There are a couple savory items that we'll talk about. They had 3 different Galactic punches, which were adult
Alcohol.
mixed drinks. And then they do make non-alcoholic ones for children.
Right.
This includes beer, wine, and sodas.
Mm-hmm.
So $79 adults, $45 for kids. It is definitely a higher ticket item, I think. And that's, I think, is what's going to drive a lot of us not enjoying it to its full potential, was pretty much based on the price. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, if we were talking about this being a $39 event for adults, we might have a very different opinion of it, I would say.
Well, and I wouldn't even as much say the price as just how things went down with, first of all, standing,
Yeah.
So when you arrive at, well, the party's at 7:30. So I think we arrived and checked in at 7. 7 was it? Okay. It seemed like you could actually check in any time soon, even sooner than that. Well, debating on whether they're out there or not. So they were out there and we checked in, and then they give you a lanyard and they tell you where it's at. And I mean, you can just come and go as you please.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go in, there's a whole bunch of tables set up.
And this is Launch Bay. It is, if you're facing where you would meet Chewie and Kylo, it's to the right of that.
Right.
There is a small kind of open area. I want to say right there is Rey's speeder bike.
Right.
So that's where this actually is set up at.
And it's just, I mean, they're nice tables, dressed nicely, but they're just tables. You can't sit.
No.
There's no seating. They have higher tables and they have lower tables, and I guess, for the children and whatnot. So, and I asked the lady, if you and I walked away together, can we leave something that's, personal or whatever. And she was like, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so it's not that you can hold your table once you get it.
Right. So that
Really.
was kind of like, oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think it was just, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think it's much as the price point as just it was underwhelming. I think I expected more.
Well, and I agree completely. But so let's go back even to the tables for one thing. So, like you said, they're standing room only. Right. And you want to get there. I think we checked in at 7. She said, make sure you're over there by 7:15ish for them to start it at 7:30. And everybody just immediately has to rush and grab a table. I don't believe there's enough table for people. And again, if you went by yourself, you're at a table by yourself. If you had 4, you're maybe 4 at a table. So it would be tough for them to determine exactly, I guess, the setup.
Right.
It's crammed in there. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of space. And as we would get food and drink, you and I can't even go get it together. I have to send you or you have to send me.
Right.
Because again, we don't want to lose our table. And there's no way to say, hey, this is our table. I mean, I could have left my camera or phone on it, but as the ladies told Rhonda, the cast member, I wouldn't do that.
And we had the new AT-AT popcorn bucket. So, we technically could have, but I mean, somebody could have just picked it up. And also, while this was going on, you yourself, not you, Jeremy, but y'all listening, you could be meeting Chewy, meeting Kylo, and being like, oh, hey, Rhonda. Hey, Jeremy, what's up? And
you're right there. There's nothing feels exclusive about it.
No.
It's not in really its own space. There's people coming and going. And then at the start, so 7:30, it's a mad rush for everyone to grab a table. And then it's an initial mad rush for food and drink. Yeah. So, Rhonda went, I held our spot at the table. Rhonda went and started to load up on desserts.
Well, the first thing that we got was the bread pudding.
Yeah.
So
it was really good. I mean, all the desserts were good.
And honestly, I almost probably wish that would have been last.
Yeah. I wish we would have just eaten that, but
that was the best.
But the lines start off long, and you only have, it's not even really like a lot of times you go to a buffet, you have 2 sides. So you're splitting people in a sense where you can go on either side.
There was 2 sides.
Right, but it was one food. In a buffet, when you have 2 sides, you're going to have 2 things of shrimp, 2 things of a meat, 2 things of a veggie, 1 on each side.
Right.
This was just a skinny table, so technically it had 2 sides, but it's not like there were other areas. So the only place you could get that chocolate chip bread pudding was at that table. It's not like they had one on each side of the room.
Oh, right. But the guy was standing behind.
The crowds.
Right. Yeah. But a guy was standing behind and serving stuff with it. But there was the table that had the cupcakes, which was the Darth Vader. They had a
BB-8 cupcake, Rice
sugar
Krispie
cookies,
treats,
chocolate sugar cookie, which was Darth Vader, and then I think regular sugar cookie, which was Stormtrooper head.
Yep.
And Rice Krispie treats, and I think that, and there was a blue thing that
it was like
a pudding,
like a mousse
pudding
type thing,
But I think that was all that was on that table,
right. And
because I tried to get everything just to taste it.
And you do want to taste everything, but again, I mean, we're talking dessert. This is sweet, decadent desserts. I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours and just stuff my face with desserts the way I might with something else, which was why it was nice. They had we'll call it a savory table.
Yes.
Which had flatbread, black bean hummus, red pepper hummus. Mm-hmm. Those were excellent. That was the best thing there.
That was very good. Yeah.
So their best thing there to me wasn't even dessert.
Well, because you're not a dessert type of guy.
Not huge. But...
And as a dessert type of person and eating a lot of dessert, the bread pudding was the best because everything else was, to me, just very standard.
It was.
Like
you would walk into a Walmart and buy a pack of 24 mini cupcakes.
Yeah.
These just happened to be decor that had some Star Wars. And then on that same savory table, we had watermelon skewers, which was 2 tiny pieces of watermelon on a toothpick. Then you had a chunk of cheddar with an olive on a toothpick, basically. And then the other one was a chunk of mozzarella and a grape cherry tomato. Fine, but you're completely missing out on opportunities, in my opinion. And what I kept thinking was, why not have a chunk of cheddar cheese, an olive, and maybe like a little block of salami or ham? Right. You know, you have mozzarella and a tomato, put balsamic vinegar and some basil on it.
Right.
At least just dress it up. It just felt like they didn't try. And then after even that rush, I went to get in line to get a drink, and this line now backs up in between the tables, and you're dead center between and then they only have one bartender in one area for drinks. Then you're between the dessert and the savory area. So about every minute while I'm waiting in line, I had to step back 2 feet so that somebody could walk through the line trying to get to their table. So it was right. Now that lasted for about the first 30 minutes where it felt very overcrowded.
And that seemed to disperse.
It did finally. I spent most of my time going back and getting more flatbread and hummus because it was really good.
It was.
And we hadn't eaten dinner because we wanted to save room for desserts, which just I think ends up being a problem because it's way too much dessert. You know, if this was switched over, and I'll give my opinions on how this could be better, because as you said, there's nothing extra special to it. I want to say stormtroopers walked through twice. And when I say walk through, it was more like almost ran through. It's not that they stopped to give any sort of experience to the guests. They really just made their way through. There was nothing else. You could have put, I'll make my suggestions in a minute, but once it wrapped up, they said, you know, basically you're going to follow out. Everybody's going to follow out, you know, in line out to get your seating
for this
air quote seating for the fireworks spectacular, which is what I absolutely love the fireworks there. I mean, so I was excited to see them again. We typically don't spend evenings in the park, so we miss out a lot of times on those experiences. On the way out, and this was one thing that was a little bit cool, is they gave us a keepsake Phasma mug with a top that opens, which you cannot purchase anywhere else in the park.
Right.
So that part was cool.
And she also, for a tip, she did say, which was really cool, which takes us back to the dinner. But before we left, she was like, hey, y'all know that you can take anything with you.
Right.
Drinks, food. Yep. So we had the AT-AT that had the popcorn.
You say we, but this was spearheaded by you individually.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a good idea.
So we didn't have any popcorn in it. And I went and got a bunch of sugar cookies, chocolate and regular. And because, I mean, this is where I kind of missed the girls that week. Because
they would have really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Especially Lacey. So I went and it was like, okay, what can I keep? Of course I can't keep cupcakes. So I got sugar cookies and the Rice Krispie treats. And I stuffed the AT-AT full of them. And then when we were also back before we left, when we headed out, Jeremy grabbed 2 drinks for him and then 2 drinks for me.
Yeah.
So that kept us through the fireworks.
I wanted to fill the AT-AT with beer, but Rhonda wouldn't let me. So
it would have just fallen out.
But I did. The keepsake was cool.
So yeah.
But I'll even talk about that when I get into my suggestions.
They also were given bottled water out while they were giving the keepsakes out.
Which was very nice too. So we make our way out to the area that we are allowed to be in for the fireworks. And it is that kind of stage landing, which would end up behind where they're normally doing the Galaxy Far, Far Away show. They roll out all that stage and the screens and everything. So you're slightly elevated. It's roped off. They have cast members on each side looking for your lanyards. The one nice thing is that you have a great spot.
Yeah.
You are sitting on concrete. I liked that nobody stood.
I just started to say, which was nice because everybody's sitting anyways. And I've always said, if everybody just stay seated, I can see. Why does
everybody stand up for fireworks? Because if you want to go back on a slight tangent, if you want to go back to when we were talking about, you know, holding your phone up or putting a kid on your shoulders for fireworks, if everyone just sat on the ground, everyone can see.
Yep.
For the most part, regardless of height.
Correct.
Every single person can see.
Yeah.
That part was nice.
So
the one thing, it was almost too close. Because this is a wide viewing area. You're going on far side of the Chinese theater, all the way to the left, all the way over to the right. And there's stuff going on everywhere. what we've tend to do when we've waited for this is we'll get there 45 minutes to an hour early sometimes, and we just relax, or we grab a snack or a drink and we just relax and get our spot, and we sit until everybody stands up for some reason. But you get in a viewing area where you can see everything within your vision. Whereas here, if I wanted to see what was happening on the left side, I had to look at it. And then if I wanted to see what was happening on the right, I had to turn my head and look at it.
Yeah.
So it was almost a little too close, but it was still a great seating. You're right up there. The music's blaring.
Standing up, and I think it was fantastic where I was standing. My back was just hurting, so I needed to stand.
Yeah.
But I was close to the stairs, and I stood, and it was
and it was good, and we absolutely love that show. The park closes down. As that show, the park actually closes. Park closes at 9. I think the show is 9:15. So it is the closing of the park. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I mean, again, you don't have to do the dessert party to go see it, but if you haven't seen the fireworks spectacular, it's awesome. Yeah. We're talking lasers, fireworks, 3D projections on the buildings. Really, really, really cool. All right, I have one easy suggestion to make this worth it, which is lower the price. Keep everything exactly the same. Take this down to about a $39, I think, for adult, and maybe like a $24 for kids. And it's going to be potentially worth what it already is.
Yeah, but then if you have all that, then you have tons of people there.
And that is the problem. That's the problem with making it a low price point. You're completely right. Okay, so let's keep the price point.
Then
you got to add some stuff.
Correct.
You need to add, look, you got a Darth Vader costume. You've got a Boba Fett costume. You've got a Phasma costume. At least have something special. At least one additional meet and greet that you can only get at the dessert party. And
I agree.
Even if you have to do it in a way that they did Breakfast at Ohana's, where you check in, you then walk to an area. We got a picture with Stitch.
Right.
Then you go in and the characters come around. Do it that way then. Maybe you check in. You're immediately given something where you go and you meet, just say, Darth Vader. Then you get into the party.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe still some characters get to mingle a little bit.
Right.
Add a DJ or something. I know they're not going to get that DJ Elliott that was running the marathons and the races in the morning. But you could have a Star Wars DJ there. You could, with Disney's technology, easily build a robot DJ, a droid DJ that is playing tracks and interacting with people.
Right.
I mean, I think that would be incredible. Bump up your savory. The desserts are what they are, and I don't see them making a change. You're talking about mass production of desserts.
Right.
So I totally get that they may not be out of this world. That was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could at least step up the savory game slightly. And yeah, I mean, if you're thinking of doing this, here would be my suggestion. One, just know that it is expensive and you now know what you're getting. And if that's okay with you, go for it. We saw a family with 4 children?
Yes. Which I
mean,
was like,
it just blows my mind how much money they had to spend. And I would have loved to ask them, was it worth it?
Right.
And they had to be at a short table so that the kids could actually have dessert on a table and eat from it.
Right.
We could not have been at the tall table. No, Kaylin would have been okay because she's about your height now.
Yeah.
But Lacey's head would have come up to the top of the table.
Right.
We would have had to have a small table, which then means either you and I are maybe sitting on the ground by the table or we're just standing there with a table at our waistline. It was weird. I would suggest you go and you find whatever your favorite dessert is in Hollywood Studios. And you buy one for you and you buy one for everyone in your family. And you go and you get a spot dead center in front of Chinese theater. There's going to be a taped off walkway so that people can get through. You try and get at the front of that back tape line so there's nobody in front of you.
That's about an hour wait or so.
And you just sit there and enjoy.
Yep.
You've got drink carts and popcorn carts on either side if you want to get something. And trust me, you're not going to spend $80 per person.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
But that was also one dessert party. That doesn't mean that's every.
No, not at all.
I wanted to not do that one. I think the only reason we did is because of the Star Wars theming of the weekend, doing the race, but I wanted to do the Happily Ever After.
Right.
So
and
we still might do that.
Going back, and I think it was the same price point, correct?
That was cheaper.
Oh, it was cheaper.
It was cheaper.
Okay.
Star Wars was, I believe, the most expensive, and there was another one, but
and there are no discounts. There's no AP.
Right.
There's no tables. There's no DVC.
But I think that is
because
because it includes alcohol. So Happily Ever After, it's Magic Kingdom. I'm not sure they have the alcohol,
which would explain it being a lower price, but then you definitely have to make up. I mean, having the addition of alcohol and knowing how pricey alcohol is at Disney certainly helps some, I think, with that price point. We'll move on. We'll move on to the next one, and I'm just going to throw this one in here real quick because we have talked about this a lot. But I got to take Rhonda finally to Disney Springs and do the Star Wars virtual reality at the Void, the Secrets of the Empire. Again, I've given my opinions. John's given his opinions. Kaylin even gave her opinion. What was your opinion?
I was blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the most incredible thing I've ever done with being VR. And to be truthfully honest, I guess that's my first time ever doing like something like that where it was over my face.
True virtual reality.
True, right. Not like, rides and stuff.
Right.
I'm talking,
as opposed to a simulator ride.
Right. I'm talking where you put this gear on, you put this thing over your face and you see this stuff. And oh my God, I swear, I was like, did we stay after we got off the way you went through? I was like, did we go on an elevator? Did we move? And he goes, no, we stayed on the same floor the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just was like,
and you feel like you're in an elevator moving.
Holy crap. I mean, that was just incredible. And just, blown away would be my word.
I'm so glad that you absolutely loved it.
Yes.
Because I've praised this beyond belief.
I would love
right
to
now
do
it's
it
the
with
best
Kaylin.
thing there is at Disney. Yeah. I mean, it's the absolute best thing at Disney. If you think Flight of Passage is cool, like I feel like you've seen nothing yet. I mean, this is next level.
Gosh, it was so cool.
Yeah.
I want to do it with Kaylin.
Yeah. That would be fun. And
poor Lacey.
I've heard it seems that they have not been as strict with the 10-year-old age limit. So it is possible, like when we go in July and Lacey is officially 8, we may be able to see if we can give it a shot. I mean, I would obviously go talk to them and see.
Right.
Now, it really is strictly because of the size of the equipment. I don't think there's anything. If your kid watches a Star Wars movie, you're not going to see anything that's inappropriate for kids in it, obviously. No. But the weight and the size of the equipment is definitely determining that 10-year-old age limit.
And I understand that. That was heavy on my head and my face, and it was, but so worth it.
Yeah, it was. We will do it again for sure. But all right, so we'll move on next, and that was part of why this was a Star Wars weekend. We already knew we were doing the Dark Side 5K. I had purchased these tickets online for the VR experience and kind of tried to surprise you, but you figured it out. So that was Star Wars.
Surprise me.
So when we were going to do Dessert Party, I think that's really why I wanted to do the Galactic one. Again, we were turning it into kind of a Star Wars weekend.
Right, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
But so the race, we got there Thursday. We drove down and we arrived at ESPN Wild World of Sports Complex at like 9:56 or something. And, race, the start of the expo and your packet pickup and everything was at 10 a.m. So we're right on time.
10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
All day Thursday.
Right on time. Friday morning 5K, Saturday morning is the 10K, and then Sunday morning is the half. Now, people that have already been there and they're on resort are getting bussed in so that they can pick up their packets, and there's lots of people driving. Pulling in at 10 a.m., I was really, truly expecting to be there for quite some time, waiting in lots of lines. Based on the volume of people I saw coming in.
Yeah.
We waited for absolutely nothing. I mean, you want to talk, and this whole race in general, I'm not a huge fan of the sign up, but rumor is they might be dumping active as their sign up registration page and moving to someone else. Oh, I just don't think it's a great experience. And when we were pre-registering for the Wine and Dine 10K, there were tons of issues, and it's not very user friendly to me. But everything about this race, from the moment you show up at Wild World of Sports to the moment you end your race and you're heading back on a bus to your hotel, is probably the most well-oiled machine I've ever seen in my entire life. Mm-hmm. If you think Disney in general runs very well, which it does, Disney is a well-oiled machine in everything they do, this is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Driving in was funny because it looked like you were driving into a park.
Yeah.
There were so many cars.
Oh, yeah.
There was parking lot attendants. Like, I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. And So we'll talk price real quick. For the Star Wars 5K, we're talking $80 a person. You are going to get your race bib, which has your name on it. You're going to get a medal. You're going to get a t-shirt. And you're obviously going to get to run the race, and you have access to some different things and some character meet and greets and stuff during the race, which are really cool. 10K is $120. The half marathon is $185. Now, if you want to do the first order challenge, that is $330, but that's going to include the 10K and the half. You're going to get a 10K medal, a half medal, and you're going to get a first order challenge medal.
Correct.
Prior to that, and I didn't see what the registration price was here, you could have done the Kessel Run Challenge, which was the virtual half marathon that we did.
Right.
And the 10K in the real half? Or
no, just the other half.
The other half. Okay.
Real half.
Okay, so you would have done the virtual half, the real half.
Correct.
And then you would have received a medal for each of those, and then you would have gotten a Kessel Run medal as well.
And now, just for y'all as well, the 5K is unfortunately considered a fun run. You are not chipped.
Fun at all. I'm kidding.
You are not chipped, and you don't have to keep a 16-minute mile, which is what you do have to keep in the 10K and the half. Yeah. If not, you will be swept away. And from what we did,
literally,
from the balloon
from Mary
ladies.
Poppins comes by and
but we also learned that you get swept away, but you get your finisher medal.
Unless you're doing a challenge.
If you're doing the challenge, you do not get the challenge medal if you're swept away.
Right.
So, yeah. So.
And again, I walk these. Even when we do the virtual ones at home, Rhonda slows down and we walk them. I walk at about a 15 or 14 and a half minute mile. I'm tall, I got long legs, I move pretty quickly. But it is, as you'll see, it's well worth. It's well worth the price. I mean, $80 to me was an absolute steal when it comes down to it.
Right.
I think. So we get to the expo area and we immediately decide, again, I think this is going to be nuts. So we say, let's go right and get our race packet.
Yeah.
There are cast members all along the way directing you. There is one of the cast members with the attached microphone in his little speaker box on his belt. Asking, do you need questions? Do you have questions for me? Directing people. You get directed into the giant, and this is where they have, they can do basketball, hockey. They can do whatever they need in this building, but this is the arena. So we go in there, and there had to have been, I felt like there were 100 or so booths broken up where you knew what order you were because you already had basically your bib number, and you went right there. I didn't wait behind a single person, and I gave them my name, they gave me my bib number. You got yours.
I was waiting behind a person because I was confused for half a second, and I was like, wait, that's not my number. I got to move over. And so
the hardest part was figuring out where your number fit in between.
Right. And when I moved over, there was nobody. So I was right there. So yes, it was very.
And at that point, they tell you, here's where you're going to go and pick up your shirt now that you have your bib number pretty much. And this is going to be in the other building where the whole expo is actually going.
Right.
So we walk around, you walk back upstairs, and you walk into the other building. We go right in, and there's a giant expo. I mean, there's, again, most everything is obviously running to style companies. So you have everything from buying shirts that are themed very well to Disney running. You have the kinetic tape and stuff you can put on your joints. You've got really cool display racks that you can buy that you can put in your medal and a picture of you on the run. And socks. I mean, just
there's Jared's fanny pack.
Oh yeah, the adventure satchel. They did have those. Did not pick one up though. But so you go to the far end, you show them your bib, they hand you a shirt, and they put it in a big, giant, clear Run Disney bag, which would later be our dirty laundry bags, which worked out really, really well. So they've got music playing. They have the transportation booth, which is run by Mears, of course, and you can go ask them, what's transportation like? So we made our way out of there. We didn't really look around too much because we're not like hardcore runners. Like I'm not going to buy running socks. And I made you a medal rack for Christmas. So we have a place to hang medals. So we headed out of there, and now you can go into the merchandise area, which is a whole separate building.
After we talked to the bus people though.
Yeah, after we talk to the bus people, and I'll let you fill them in when we talk about the morning getting to the buses. So we go over to the merchandise area, and they have a ridiculous amount of merchandise. I mean, they have stuff specific for the 5K, the 10K, the half, General Run Disney, the challenges. Mm-hmm. They have stuff that isn't even Star Wars Run Disney. They had like Tinkerbell leggings with tank tops and mini, and I think they had some different villain ones. Very expensive, but really good, like active wear. Mm-hmm. You're talking everything from magnets to mugs to glasses to shirts to pins to, I mean, everything you could think of. Mm-hmm. It is hard to not load up on just all of it.
Yes.
Hats. I got a hat.
I got a hat. You got a hat. I got the, like, I always wear the headband thingies. So I got the Star Wars headband, and then shirts. We had the shirt.
Yeah, we knew they were giving us one.
I was going to get a tank, but Michelle made me an amazing tank with my Nike. So I just passed by. We passed by that.
Yeah.
So what?
I like it because it is specific. Now, anybody could have walked in there and bought the stuff. You didn't have to be registered for the run to buy that stuff. But I like the fact that it is something that is specific to the run, where you could later wear. I mean, I can wear the hat now. It says 5K on it, and it's got like part of the K is a lightsaber. It's just neat to know that, hey, we were part of this event. We could buy extra merchandise specific only to this event.
Right.
So we made it out of there pretty unscathed, unlike the lady who was checking out next to us, who they were still taking a few more things out of her basket when she was at $932.
Yes.
Which is crazy. But at the same time, I can totally see how that adds up.
Absolutely. And you got to think too, I mean, people do these Run Disney. I mean, they wait all year for this. They save. Yep. So, I mean, really.
For a lot of them, this is their one time to go to Disney every year. It's specifically for a run.
Right.
They did take a pass holder discount, correct, on the merchandise?
They did.
So saved 10 or 20 now. I can't even keep up. 15, somewhere around there.
Somewhere.
Which was nice. So after that, we went ahead and headed back to the hotel. And then that's when we ended up checking out a little bit of the hotel. And then I took Rhonda over to Disney Springs. We ate at Jock Lindsay's, which has a new menu that John and I are going to discuss on the next episode. And then we got to bed early. Why did we get to bed early though?
Well, first of all, because
still tired.
You had to get up at 3. Well, we set our alarm.
We had to get up at 3:15.
3:15 was our alarm
in the morning. A.M.
So I was like, I have to be in bed by 8 o'clock because I just wanted to make sure I did get some sleep. 3:15. We won't mention about you sleeping so well, I guess. And
you can tell how somebody tried to get in our room at one point at night.
Gosh. Yeah. So anyways, I didn't sleep very well at all, Jeremy. I actually was praying that he was alive because he was sleeping so well.
Soundly.
Yeah.
Like a bear.
First of all, I heard kids running, which I wanted to joke and open the door and be like, "We've got runners trying to sleep."
Which could have been like 8:30 is the funny part.
Absolutely.
It's not even like it's quiet hour. We're laying in bed with the lights off at 8 p.m.
Right.
It was like, I remember.
Because it was before the fireworks.
I remember turning the lights off and I was like, it's still light outside and we're going to bed. But
So then I must have fallen asleep a little bit because I'm kind of like waking up to like somebody, it sounds like knocking. And I'm like, but of course things are so close that somebody could have been right next door knocking. The next thing I know, our door opens. And if it wasn't for me putting that little latch thing across, they could have gotten in our room.
Yeah.
And I legit freaked out and was a little scared. And you were sleeping. He had no idea. I was like, babe. And he didn't say anything. And then I'm like watching his breathing.
The mirror under my nose.
Yeah, you were breathing. So I was like, all right, he's all right.
Thank you for checking on me.
And then the next thing that happened, the fireworks were going off at 9 p.m. And I swear to God, if I'd have walked out of our room, I'd have probably seen them because they were so
we know
loud.
that we could see them from Coronado Springs, which is right down the street.
Right.
So we probably could have seen them.
Right.
In my theory,
and then again, you were sleeping.
Well, in my theory with the room thing was, I don't think it was a cast member or anything. I mean, or somebody breaking. Obviously, you need to have an active Magic Band or card to get in. We were originally going Thursday night and checking out Sunday. We added Sunday night on a separate reservation. When we got there, they combined the reservations and changed our room to a king room. I just have a feeling whoever's room that technically was coming in the same day and somehow got their notice in their
Why would they knock
active.
And if it was a cast member, they were knocking and they didn't say, like...
I just don't think there'd be any reason for them to come in late that night, but maybe you're right. I mean, it could have been, but it was, that was interesting. So 3:15 in the morning. And then why don't you talk a little bit about transportation and what was vaguely recommended by the guys over at Mears, who I think could have done a better job of explaining things, but they did give us a little.
Yeah. So they said that no later on the bus than 4.
Yeah.
So that's when
race is starting at 5:30.
Right. I didn't want to be there by 3:30, so we compromised in the middle and did 3:45. The guy did tell me at Coronado they pick up Caribbean. We were at Caribbean.
Yeah.
Sorry, Caribbean. Yeah, Caribbean Beach. There was a bunch of stops, and he said you might want to get with a staff member because when you see a bus pass you, and you're like, "What the heck?" So we never got with the staff, and we just went ahead and went to the stop where a line
right outside our building,
and the line of people at 3:45 in the morning. Like, you're not going anywhere else other than the run.
Right.
So, it was a little stressful because Michelle was staying at Saratoga. And she had one stop, and she was there like before we even got on the bus.
Yeah.
So
we saw several buses go by, and while there wasn't a cast member to explain, every time they drove by, did you notice the bus driver flipped on the lights so we could literally see that the bus was full through the windows?
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of their way of letting you know.
When one bus did come, it was this tiny little short bus that I was like, so
it was like more like a shuttle.
I guess the nice thing is somebody at the very front of the line asked, and she informed people like us towards the back of the line, said that there are coming. And when one pulled up, giant one, another one pulled up right behind it. And so we got on the second one.
Yeah. And these are not the Disney buses. These are charter buses that are brought in by Disney and Mears Transportation. So you have nice, big, comfy seats, and you've got armrests. And I mean, this is the type of bus you would imagine, you pay money to travel across country almost in a sense. Like, these are really, really nice buses, which was nice at 4:00 in the morning, and it was nice coming back.
Yes.
So, so we got over to Epcot, and we walked about, I felt like a 5K to get to the starting line of the 5K.
Yeah.
But again, everything is run to absolute perfection.
Oh, absolutely.
It really is. And there are some booths set up there. A lot of them are stuff for like Make-A-Wish and different volunteer and organization groups.
I saw coffee. I think I saw
there was, which I'm not drinking a cup of coffee before a 5K. But so you go through, and they have several screens, big LED or whatever display screens. They have a DJ. They have some hosts that are talking. They kept playing a lot of the trailers, going all the way back to like the original Star Wars movies, really up to Force Awakens. It was cool just to see those trailers. They were doing trivia. The one host, she was getting down into the crowd and talking to people. Now, this being our first, we've done some local 5K runs where there's not a ton of people, and everybody just gets in a line, everybody just starts running. This is tens of thousands of people. So they have to corral you.
A through F.
Yeah, A through F. And your corral number or letter will be on your race bib. Now, I signed up really, really late. I'm just assuming this is how they determine corrals, is based on when you sign up. You and Michelle signed up earlier. You were, I think, A corral.
I was
she
B.
was like,
I was
you were
B.
B. She was
D.
D. I was
And then
F.
you were F.
So we found that if we all three wanted to be together, you had to go in the latest corral, which would have been F. So we got over and got in line at F, and there's tons and tons of people. Now, because there's even so many people in each individual corral, they have to do them in mini waves, M-I-N-I, not the mouse. So they do 2-minute intervals for each corral, and there's 4 of them. So corral A will take 8 minutes, corral B 8 minutes, corral C 8 minutes. Start to do the math. A 5:30 start time does not mean a 5:30 start time.
It was like 6 or 9 or so.
Yeah, in corral F.
Right.
But you do have to be there for really the start time. Now, I'm guessing if we had decided to drive over, maybe we could have gotten there at like 6 o'clock instead and gotten in Corral F and been okay. I don't know. I'm honestly not sure if anybody knows.
But we were the second wave as well. So that was
in that
good.
corral.
Right.
So
and I wouldn't want to chance that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. I mean, if somebody flat out said to me, yes, you're allowed to drive, you can show up at 6 and you won't start till 6:20, then I would maybe think of it. But I enjoyed, and we stood for a while, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, the hosts were outstanding. The DJ was great. It was cool to watch, at least you were entertained while you were there.
Yes.
It's not as though we just had to stand or sit there
and try not to fall asleep.
Right. And try not to fall asleep. I mean, we were entertained. So
right.
To be 100% honest, I would not want to be Corral A Wave 1. I would want to be about C in the middle. Because you get to see some of that stuff and enjoy some of the entertainment, but then you still get earlier in the run, and we'll get to the point of why being in Corral F might stink in the end. So we finally get our run started, and we make our way out on the street, and you're going to go through the back areas of Epcot first. What I thought was cool was they were playing A New Hope on a big screen as you ran through the one section, and they had big speakers playing. Another thing that for some reason I just thought was so cool is they had speakers and they were on loop.
Oh, I was saying, laughing at that. Yes.
Speed bump ahead, or, be careful, runners, speed bump ahead. Yep. Be careful, and just over and over again. So you weren't tripping or anything. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we make our way through, was it right after mile 1 that we walked backstage under test track and into Mexico, correct? It was right around the mile 1 marker.
Or if a little past mile. Yeah.
So you come in underneath test track, and you actually come out and enter the World Showcase at Mexico, right where normally Donald is doing meet and greets.
Right.
That's the section in Mexico that you come into.
Yes.
You're going to make your way around the World Showcase. You're going to do a quick cut, basically kind of in the backstage area of the UK. So we had to go down around towards the International Gateway. We went around where they're building the gondola station, and then you came back in through the UK. Then you get over. Are you going to back up and
talk about?
Yeah, we'll talk about stuff along the way. You get over to the land, and you cut through there over towards Imagination Pavilion, out in front of Soarin', out in front of the Seas with Nemo, back through, down Spaceship Earth, and then you're going to go right side, not out of the actual park exit, but you're going to go to the right of that where those bathrooms are. And again, you're in a backstage area to finish the race. So why don't you talk a little bit about along the route, kind of things that were going on.
Well, besides
which made it to me just extra cool.
Right. Well, besides, like you said, the movie and the videos going on, it wasn't until it was over 1, and I'm not sure if it was to 2 yet. And there was R2-D2, and you could see and take a picture with him with PhotoPass, and there was PhotoPass all along the way. Yeah. And with that, if you are, I'm not actually sure if it was just any person, but all you had to do was connect your bib number in my Disney experience under PhotoPass, and you got all these pictures. You didn't have to take anything with you. So here we are running, and Michelle and I were running, and we saw R2-D2, and if it was Darth, I would have totally stood in the line. The line was very long.
It was very long.
Very long. But I was like, I'm all right not to see the droid. Well, we kept running, and we were past mile 2, I believe. And then there was Chewie. And she was like, okay, I know you can see him in the park, but there's only been 2.
We're halfway through the run.
We're already halfway done, and there's only been 2. So we get in the line for Chewie. Now, here's the really funny part. Jeremy got in line for R2-D2. The line went.
These lines move really quick because
very quick.
It's not a meet and greet.
It's just to take a picture.
Yeah, it's take a picture and move on your way, which was nice because that made the lines move very, very quick.
Yes. So we're in line for Chewie, and he actually walking catches up and gets in line with us, which was great because we have a picture together, and then we actually almost stayed together just because to him walking so fast and Michelle and I, we weren't really running fast. We were just kind of, all right, let's run to the next thing. And
I joked and was like, all right, you guys run to the next one and I'll just meet you in line.
Right.
Which you did after Chewy, because then you went where the stormtroopers were. And I think at that point, once I caught up, it was like, all right, we're finishing out this last half mile just kind of all together.
So we took pictures by the stormtroopers, and then there was, who are they?
I think they're from Star Wars Rebels.
Ezra and Friends.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I think that's the girl's name. Or maybe it's the guy's. Yeah, I'm bad with that. Sorry. So it was a man and woman, and we took a picture with them. And then
by the way, I don't know how they did those contacts in his eyes, but they looked like blue LED eyeballs.
Oh, they were insane.
It was the coolest thing.
It was.
Like Michelle walked up and was like, what? Like, kind of gave him a second look. It was insane looking. It was so cool.
It was. But yeah. So then we're just about done, and we hit the 3 mile mark. So then you only have 0.1. Right. You're in the backstage. You only have 0.1 to go. So right at the 3 mile mark, there was all these characters, tons of them, like Obi-Wan Kenobi with Jawa, with
Captain Phasma, Kylo.
Yep.
We had a X-wing fighter pilot and a stormtrooper fighter pilot in the all black. There was the Red Imperial Guard. There was an Ewok. There were stormtroopers of all the different type of stormtroopers. But so we're waiting in line for the first one, which is and again, a line is just forming for all of them, and you can kind of just make your way through. And we're waiting there, and for the first one, which was the X-wing fighter and the stormtrooper fighter pilot. And look over and notice a sign that states these are not characters that are, I guess, affiliated or provided by Walt Disney World or Lucasfilm.
Right.
This is a local fan group that Disney is allowed to come out and be part of the race for people to take pictures with. Because again, you have several characters that Disney is not using in the parks anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Kylo, Phasma, they are in the parks.
Right.
And these costumes, this is not like
they look
Target
almost
Halloween
Disney.
store costume.
Yeah.
These are, when you walk out of Launch Bay through that store and they have like a full Han Solo and Darth Vader costume, you can buy them for like $3,000-$4,000. That was the level of these costumes. So it was really cool, but because they were not Disney, they did not go by Disney standards of playing that role. So when you end up taking a picture with Obi-Wan, who was a great Obi-Wan, he had the great beard. I mean, it was perfect. And a Jawa, and you say thank you, and the Jawa turns and is like, "Oh, thank you very much." You're like, wait a second, what is going on? It was like they wasn't supposed to talk.
Right. Or how we came up to somebody, I can't remember who it was, and she was like, "Hey, how are you today?"
Yeah, it was one of the stormtroopers.
What?
Then we saw kids getting pictures with stormtroopers, and they're like putting their hands out, and one of them's doing bunny ears, and I'm like, okay, they could have stuck to character. One of the stormtroopers had looked like he had spent quite a time drinking beers in Germany and eating
I think
bratwurst.
It was a woman, and I think she was pregnant.
It was one or the other. I don't know.
Anyways,
the only one that wasn't done really well,
very obviously,
was the Ewok, which I'm still having nightmares about. It was well done enough, but it was not to a standard of looking like a real Ewok. It was kind of like, I don't know, like an Ewok's drunken uncle or something. It was. I'll have to repost the picture with this episode. It was a little creepy, but we ended up being basically the last people to get pictures for most of these because an actual cast member was coming through and sweeping people out of the way because they said that this fan. I think the fan group had to get over to like the local 5-H carnival or whatever, possibly. But
I asked why because I'm thinking, okay, we were told that you don't have to keep the 15-minute mile or 16-minute mile. I mean, and because it starts so early and all this. And so I was like, well, why? And he was like, well, we got to open the park and and I was like, oh. So we were the last and we took pictures, which the reason it's an unfortunate part is because we get around the corner to the finish line and there's stormtroopers, first of all, standing there. You go through the finish line, you get pictures, everything. You get your medal, you get banana, you get a snack box.
Yeah, they had like chips, tortilla chips,
water,
it had queso in it, it had some snacks.
And you get through all that and you come around the corner and in the parking lot is like a giant, like after party, which has nobody there because we were the last ones, literally. And there was Darth Vader, there was Captain Phasma, there was Jabba the Hutt, Kylo,
Boba Fett,
and Boba Fett. I
Yeah.
think
those
the
five.
five.
Yep.
And I was
They still had some decent lines.
Well, they
were shutting them down.
but they were done.
Yep.
And she said, because I asked, because I was very, very upset about Darth. She said I could stand in line, but at 7:15 they were leaving, and I'm pretty sure it was like 7:10 or something.
Yeah.
Where
There's no way we were
I didn't think. Yep. I thought, sure, we could wait, but I thought that there'd be no reason because we'd stand in line and they'd leave.
So we did get right up to, now again, we've gotten Kylo before. Phasma we just did, even though it was a fan group Phasma. It was still a good Phasma, I guess.
Yeah. But it wasn't Disney.
Boba Fett would have been mine. I mean, that's the one I wanted real bad. But there was no line for Jabba the Hutt.
So I don't know why, but I guess because...
And this is a huge display Jabba. It's not... It's not mechanical. It's not an audio animatronic or anything, but it is like life size, really cool. You can stand in front of them. So that was cool. But yeah, so they were, they did have a jaw freeze. This whole weekend was like us being last in line for everything. If you think about it, like if you go back, if you listen to the Dizdoos episode, I shared our Joe Rohde story and experience of how we got to meet Joe Rohde, and we were literally the last two people in line for that. We were the last people to take pictures with this Star Wars fan group. We were the last people to get something, I think, from Joffrey's truck that was out there before they closed it down.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of funny, but we finished off. We grabbed some coffees. We got on the bus and made our way back to the resort. Mm-hmm. It was a blast. I absolutely loved it.
Absolutely.
I would gladly get up at 3:15 again.
Absolutely. Well, we're doing the 10K.
Yeah, and we will not pack our I should say not we. I packed our weekend full. Mm-hmm. It was our anniversary. It was without the kids. We wanted to do a lot of things. We wanted to get a lot done. We will not do that for the Wine and Dine 10K. I'm thinking we do some of Epcot that day because it is fun to walk around Epcot with your medal on the day you did the race and grab a drink. And, it was great walking into Rose and Crown and getting a well-deserved, snake bite and getting you a glass of wine and walking around with our medals all day. I would not recommend you have heavy plans for that day. It is a day where you may want to go back to the park and spend an hour or two just walking around and then spend the rest of the day just relaxing at the pool or having a nice meal or something like that.
Right.
Which we did not do. We went back to the room for a little bit, and then we went right back out to Epcot. Then we came back to the room, and we got ready for the luau at the Polynesian, which this was going to be our kind of official, I felt like, anniversary date. Even though the whole weekend this was kind of our date. And we had toyed around with what we were going to do, and Rhonda mentioned on a previous episode, like, we're not the type really to get all fancied up and go to a really expensive, nice sit-down restaurant where I don't understand how wine works, apparently. So we wanted to just do something that was going to be fun. We wanted a show. We originally had reservations for Ohana at like 9:50 at night that we just could not get bumped up. So we canceled those and booked the luau.
Yes.
Now, the price on the luau, now this is much like Hoop-to-Do Review as far as the categories. You have 3 categories.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3. Obviously, 1, you're going to be up closer. 3, you're going to be further away. It ranges about $60 to $80 an adult, depending on category. And you're at about $34 to $48 for kids, depending on category. This includes all you can drink beer and wine. And these are Bud Light or Yuengling. And I think there's maybe a white wine and a red wine, like house wines. If you want anything different, if you say, you know what, I'm at the Polynesian, I really want a Kona beer or whatever, that will cost extra. That is not included in the cost.
Right.
But you get beer, wine, or if you don't drink, unlimited sodas, teas, coffees, things like that. This includes all the food you can eat in a family style setting, which we'll talk about those in just a bit, and dessert. And of course, this price includes the show.
Right.
And it includes you getting over to the Polynesian, which if you've never been to the Polynesian, whether you are going to stay there or not, make time out of a trip to go over there and see it. It's incredible. It It's after walking through there. I mean, we even had some conversation like, oh man, we're not even staying here, but if we did, I don't know, this could maybe almost even overtake Wilderness Lodge as one of our favorites, if not our favorite. It really has that amazing immersive feel.
It was awesome.
So you've got 2 shows per night. There is a 5:15 and what was the second one? Do you remember? Was it about 7:15 or 8 o'clock?
So.
Yeah. So I think 5:15, 8 o'clock are your 2 show times.
They take discounts.
Yeah. So
I know you're irritated.
I still am irritated. And I'll tell you why I'm irritated after you talk about the discounts.
When we booked the luau, we asked if they take tables.
And we booked it at Coronado Springs with a concierge there.
And she was like, yeah, but you have to take your tables with you and blah, blah. So I was
we had heard, I've heard that previously.
Yeah.
That they will then discount you back
your
20% for tables once you get there. Because these shows you have to pay in full at the time of booking.
Right. So when we were standing in line to check in, I said something to one of the cast members that was giving out lays. And she said, oh, yeah, well, this is just check in. You'll do it over. So finally.
But then we actually checked in.
Right.
And you asked. And they said, you'll do it once you get over to the luau.
Well, right. That's what I just said.
No. We talked to somebody in line giving the lays who said, you'll tell them when you check in. We then checked in.
Oh.
And they said it. Then we got over to the luau and we asked someone, how do we take care of this?
Okay.
We have tables in Wonderland. And she said, go down there to those people.
Right. But she also said, we only take tables for the second show.
Right.
And then, thank God, we said something about pass holder. I don't know if she did. But anyways, she said only pass holder for the first one.
Yeah,
I was like,
for 10%.
Well, we're pass holder. So we went down there and we did get our 10% back. But Jeremy's just frustrated because...
Well, 4 people told us that they were going to take it. Now, I understand those people may not have been in the complete no, but they should have been. If at the very beginning we had said, do you take tables in Wonderland? And they said, no, only for the second showing, but we will take a pass holder. Cool. It just was frustrating that we had so many people tell us.
Because we didn't want the second show anyways.
Right.
And I also don't think there's any
point to separate. Why take it for the second show and not the first one?
I have no idea.
I just think. But that would be the worst part of the whole evening. So not bad at all. I'll take that any day of the week. So we sit down and already on your table. Well, first, again, being our anniversary and not knowing how this setup was, Rhonda asked, will we be at our own table? And they said, yes, you will, which was true.
But
however, the tables next to us were within about 3 inches of us.
If that.
Yeah, so we were at a table with other people, which was fine. It was perfectly okay, but it just was funny. And again, something to expect.
Right, and I just needed to prepare myself, like if we were going to be with other people and having to talk to other people. And again, we didn't, quote unquote, but yes, we were. Cause
you're a little bit on top of each other. But again, you're in a fun family style kind of, Hawaiian, Ohana family. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was fine. So you sit down and already on the table are salad, cold noodles, and bread.
Were amazing.
Yeah, the noodles were great. The salad was really good. Mm-hmm. I think it had kind of like a ginger style dressing, but it's a salad.
But it's a salad, and the noodles
were awesome.
Were fantastic.
So was the bread.
Yeah,
I thought
it was fine.
Yeah. So your waiter or waitress will come and they will take your drink orders. I was drinking Bud Light. Rhonda was drinking whatever their white wine. I think their white is a Chardonnay, correct?
Which is a good one. Yeah. I mean, I thought so.
Oh yeah. So they'll, you get through that and then they're going to bring your meal. And this includes pork, pulled pork, ribs, chicken, and then marinated veggies.
And jasmine rice.
That's right. So what'd you think of everything?
Oh my God. I was trying not to eat so much and not hurt. It was that amazing.
It was awesome.
Like the ribs, I feel like we can get chicken anywhere. And I know you loved the chicken. I took a bite, but
it was really good chicken. It had a light smoky flavor. It was perfectly cooked. I know you can get chicken anywhere, but if they served this chicken in the park at your standard burger and fry joints, I would get this chicken every single time.
Well, the ribs, I had that and then the pulled pork, and they were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we actually asked for more pulled pork because...
And we never ask for more
Right.
food at these family styles because
Yeah.
they bring so much to begin with.
Right. And us just eating. Like,
Right.
it wasn't like the girls were with us, too.
Right. I
So
know.
I
And he brought more rice.
I started saying, I asked for more rice and more pork. And I had to stop myself because it was so good that I was afraid I'd just keep eating until I hurt. So,
It was outstanding. I really enjoyed the food. Everybody rants and raves about Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, and their food is amazing. That fried chicken is delicious. Their dessert is good.
The dessert was really good.
I thought this meal overall blew Hoop-Dee-Doo Review out of the water, in my opinion.
I agree, except for the dessert.
Yeah, except we didn't the dessert had coconut and stuff in it. We're not coconut fans.
Yeah.
It wasn't really good. And you only got one dessert.
Right.
It wasn't like there was a selection or anything.
But you only got one at Hoop-Dee-Doo as well.
True.
It
But
was just
the
awesome
best dessert anywhere.
Right. It was just awesome strawberry shortcake.
So it was, and our waiter, John, was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again,
very good looking ladies as well.
He was like a skinnier version of The Rock. But and he definitely looked like, I mean, he if you were going to watch any movie that was going to feature good looking Hawaiian men,
absolutely.
John would have been cast in it.
Yes.
I can even admit that.
Yeah.
But we never had to really ask for it. Like, I don't even know that we asked for the pulled pork. I almost feel like he just brought it because he saw we needed more.
Well, he asked, and I, yes. Like, it was a situation where, I just, agreed with him.
Yeah.
Like,
we never had an empty drink. And look, I understand that it's all you can drink at these. You don't have to go there and get sloshed. But when you are paying a premium for something that includes stuff like all you can eat or all you can drink, you don't want to be waiting around for it if you want something else. And
Correct.
He was outstanding.
Yep.
Up to the point where at the end, he knew that it was last call. He brought us 2 drinks each and brought you a to-go cup.
Yes.
Because he knew that if we wanted any more as the show was finishing out, we couldn't get it. And he just thought, look, I'll just take care of these guys. And we'll talk about the little bit of magic at the end in a minute, but I want to talk about the show first. So what were your thoughts on the show? Because I think ours are pretty comparable to what we thought overall of the show.
It was fun. It was cute. It was, it was cute. The fire guy made it for sure.
He was outstanding.
And then I guess from the fire guy after, because isn't that when they started they were all half naked and dancing and stuff. I think the beginning part was cute and sweet.
It was very
it was
cheesy and Disneyfied.
It was Disney, Disneyfied. But it was fine. It wasn't.
Yeah. Oh no, still enjoyed it.
Right,
still really enjoyed it.
It wasn't annoying. It wasn't it was good.
Yeah.
But then when you got to the fire guy, and then after that, it was just
awesome.
A fantastic show.
And it was it was a several minute performance of the fire guy.
Yes.
And doing things. I think if you've seen Festival of the Lion King, when that guy comes out and does some of the fire tricks, it was similar to that, but a lot longer.
Yes.
And he did a lot more. Which I just thought was really cool. But I think with Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, I expected a cheesiness and a Disneyfy to it. I thought I've never been to an actual Hawaiian luau.
And when I went, it has been
it's been like 20 years or something, right? But I think I just expected it to be more to the traditional culture as opposed to putting a bit of a cheesy story with some bad acting behind it. But again, I enjoyed it. I'm not saying it's not a good show.
Well, and they
I still really enjoyed it.
Did say, because I've always wondered about the tattoos on Hawaiian people, how much they have, and they kind of said the meaning behind it too, which is really cool. Yeah. So, I mean,
you can, otherwise, as any other cast member, you cannot have visible tattoos.
Yeah,
we learned that from one of the cast members who has to wear a long sleeve. She wears just sleeves underneath her costume,
right?
So that her tattoo on her forearm doesn't show. So, and again,
it's
not
Disney,
anything,
which is
right,
kind
it's
of
a
funny.
Disney tattoo. Not anything that, I mean, you obviously, I think most everybody knows Disney. You're not allowed to have. They do have strict guidelines and standards about how their cast members look. But if you work at the luau, tat yourself up. You'll be fine.
No. Again, they are reasons behind it. It's
Yeah.
not just like a fish
Right,
or
right.
a Disney
they
tattoo.
all have extreme meaning and heritage and culture and
Right.
stuff behind them, which was really, really cool. So I really enjoyed the show. I thought the fire guy, if you took him out of it obviously wouldn't have been nearly as good. I mean, he really came in and just made it. Like, that guy was awesome.
But as the dancing at the end too was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So
yeah. I mean, half naked people. But so as we're wrapping up, the couple next to us, or the family next to us, the parents had gotten drinks and the souvenir coconut with the top cut off, and it was carved into it was like a monkey face.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw some other people that had gotten some fruity drinks, and they were in a Spirit of Aloha plastic glass. You know,
right.
I mean, specific.
It looked
to that
glass,
show.
but then.
But specific to that show. So Rhonda just asked our waiter. You know, she said, "Is it possible for us to buy those as souvenirs without having drinks in them?"
Right.
And he said. He said, yes, you can. And I think he had to check on the cost or something like that.
And he said something about the monkey one. If I can
left,
give
right?
you one, because something about the hole not being cut, I guess the way they make them or something,
Yeah.
You know, you have waste. And he was like, going to give us one. Well, the next thing I know, he comes out and he has it in a bag, has the monkey and the plastic glass cup, and he hands it to me and he goes, "This is on me."
Yeah.
Because we also wanted to tip him, and all you had was 100. So we were buying those to kind of break that 100. Yeah. Well,
Jeremy, if he could still break it.
Jeremy, well, again, we thought we paid for it. Jeremy opens it up and he goes, "He didn't charge us at all."
Yeah.
And I was thinking he didn't when he said, "Oh, this is, I got you," or however.
And gratuity was already included. The
Correct.
18% was already included.
Correct. We just wanted to give him a little
But he was
more.
outstanding, so we wanted to give him more. Yeah. And you know, we talk about this a lot. I'm not saying that he gave us that glass because we were extremely nice to him. I'm not saying that, but it could be.
And
because we were going to tip him extra, but it could be.
Right.
So again, as we've always said, if you just treat the cast members with the respect that they deserve, sometimes a little magic gets thrown your way. Mm-hmm. And we're finding that a lot lately.
Yep.
And just again, as almost a little side tangent, I was getting something to drink at the little kiosk outside of the American Pavilion, and we were talking to that cast member. And the way it's set up, they almost walk to you and say, "What would you like?" And then they have to take a few steps over to a register. Well, when she did that, I followed her and walked over to the register to hand her my card to pay.
Right.
And she was literally like, "Thank you for walking over here." Like, she said, "You wouldn't believe how many people just kind of throw their card on the table." Or I even ask for it and they don't directly hand it to me. They just throw it on the table. She said she is treated a lot there. Like, she is just...
It was sad.
Yeah, just little low on the totem pole cast member serving drinks, and that people really don't thank her or,
right.
You know, treat her with respect, or,
right.
You know, she'll pour their drink and they won't move towards her to reach out to like get, I mean, it just, so again, so we were just extremely nice to her, and just, we have been fortunate enough, I think, to really never run into a cast member on a bad day. I mean, I think we've always had pretty good luck, but I think a lot of that, I think even if we ran into a cast member on a bad day, because we try to be respectful, we try to always call them by name, they would turn around real quickly.
Yes.
You know, and that's all they want.
Well, that's what I think happened at the Hoop-Dee-Doo.
Yeah. Oh, very much so.
Remember?
Because we had some poor service at the beginning.
Yep.
And as soon as we started calling him by name, and I think you even said, like, we really appreciate it. You know, we saw a huge difference in service. So it does. You know, I get that you paid a lot of money for your Disney World vacation, and I get that they are employees of the Disney company, but they're not your servants.
Right.
You know, you can treat them with respect and you can be nice to them. And I guarantee in return, they're going to be nice back, and you might get a little magic thrown your way.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I really loved it. I want to take the girls back.
Yes.
I really do. I think it would be well worth the price. I will say
we'd go to the second show though.
Yeah. And I would not select category 3, because you are going to be up a little bit and further back.
I wouldn't even select category 1.
I know. I think category 1 was the way to go.
Category 1 is just all the way.
As you look at the price differences between category 3 to 2 and then 2 to 1, it's not a huge price difference. I mean, it's worth the extra money, I think, to be in category 1.
And if you go to the second show, You'll save that 20%.
You'll say, yeah, if you got tables, you'll save 20%. So next time we'll do the second show. And we will take the girls. And I could almost see us doing it maybe in July for your and Lacey's birthdays. It was awesome. And that kids, this is a family show.
Yes.
We'll say it that way. But what I really enjoyed after was that you and I walked down and we got a swing on the beach and watched Happily Ever After from the beach.
God, that was amazing.
And it was awesome.
Oh, so
absolutely
amazing.
Awesome.
Perfect end to a perfect night.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And that was, that was our kind of add-ons, and we're calling them add-ons, things that we had to pay extra money for. There's certainly some other things that I know we're going to want to do in the future. Another, Happily Ever After dessert party would be interesting. They do have the Frozen dessert party where you actually get to ride Frozen. That's something that could have been cool if you got a ride on Star Tours, even if it was just a free fast pass prior would have been cool. Or if just say after the fireworks ended, they just took everyone to a closed Star Tours and let you ride. Right. Would have been cool.
So we'll do another dessert party. Hopefully it'll be a better experience. And we'll also know, just like
now we have expectations. Though.
Right. And just like with the run, now we know not to stop at fan people. Right. Right. And with the dessert party, we know that we'll probably have to more than likely have to stand. I don't think I've ever seen a dessert party with actual seats, to come to think about it.
I don't know.
Because we've walked past them a whole bunch of times.
And again, anyone who has done some of the other dessert parties, please reach out to us on social, because we would love to know. For some reason, I feel like Epcot's does. I feel like you get tables, but I may be thinking back to some of the add-on experiences during Food and Wine Fest, not the dessert party.
Right.
Because that's the other thing that could have made it better. If they had taken those same tables, added chairs, and set them up where we ended up watching the fire. Now, I understand that you have to watch out for weather, but you could easily move it inside as a precaution, as a backup. If they had set the tables out there on a known good evening, and you arrived, you were outside at those tables doing your dessert, doing your drinks, and then you get that exact same spot to just stay and watch the party or the fireworks, I think that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, please give us your feedback on any other dessert parties, ones that we should shy away from, maybe ones that we should give a try so we can report back on. That would be great. And you can catch us out on Maine ST Magic at Twitter and Facebook, or you can join the Capture the Magic community. And the Capture the Magic community really is a combination of the Capture the Magic podcast, the Dids Dudes, and Main Street Magic. So you can go out and we'll all be out there. Rhonda, myself, John, Jared, Jamie, Michelle's out there. So, feel free to ask questions or share your experiences out there. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, go out on iTunes, leave a rating and review, not only for Main Street Magic, but we'd love if you do it for Capture the Magic, and talk about the Diz Dudes as well, so we can continue to help these shows grow. Well, that's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.